Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You've just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and tonight we'll be broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio, at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. We are going to have another awesome night tonight. Welcome to After Hours. How was your week? I'd love to know how your week went. Hope it was awesome. Hope we can bring you a great show here tonight and tomorrow as well. You know, we get it going here on the After Hours. We do have a special guest, Kara Phillip, who is basically a ghost hunter. She's into the paranormal. She has some business ventures that she's into that we'll end up talking about. So it should be a really awesome conversation tonight, as always. And what I would like to do is go ahead and take a look at our goal positions, because you know Race Fan gets me the data, and I do appreciate you, Race Fan. So according to Race Fan, I'll take Race Fan's word for it here. We have gold for Race Fan, we have silver for Dino Bravo Fan, and then the bronze goes to John Mellon. So let's go ahead and hop in the chat and see who has joined us tonight. So going ahead and jumping in here. Yes, we do see Race Fan. We do see Dino Bravo Fan saying good evening, Rob, and Rob the OG, hello. And then we have John Mellon saying bonjour. Bonjour, John Mellon. Thank you for joining us. And here we go. Who's the very next name on the list? Let's go ahead and call this guy out here. The guy who brings the heat and never the sleep. The one known as Area 51 has joined us tonight. Appreciate you, Area 51. I was worried about you, man, so I'm glad to see that you popped up. I did put a shout out for you the other day and was like, hey, you know, just drop us a message, man. Let us know you're good. So it is so good to see you out there right now, Area 51. Thanks for coming on in. We do have Malou coming in saying, hey, Rob, in chat. Hey, Malou, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Let's see. We have Deb from Sac saying Area 51. Dude, been missing you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you there. We do have Sky's the Limit Smoke and Skate Shop saying good evening. Hey, Sky's the Limit. Appreciate you coming on in. Sounds like a place I would like to visit. So hopefully that is a store that I can come and visit because it sounds like my thing. Let's see. Who do we have here? We have Cosmic Joe Chronicles saying, how are you doing this evening? With the spaceship emoji, alien emoji, and some sort of symbol emoji. Not really sure. Thank you for coming on in, Cosmic Joe. We do appreciate you showing up tonight. Thank you for coming in. And if you're new, we do welcome you here, and we have a great family here. 7 days a week, we have things going on here at Spaced Out Radio. I'm sure you'll hear me say that a little later as well. Thanks for coming in, Cosmic Joe. Let's see, who else do we have? Okay, Eternity Eternal saying, hey, Rob G, how you doing, Eternity Eternal? Thanks for coming in and joining us this evening. We do appreciate you, as always. Let's see. Rafin saying, running late, eh? Yeah, yeah. You know, when it comes down to getting these puppies secured, by showtime, I always let them out before I do the show because I'm on for 3 hours. So make sure to get out there. But then they have a problem coming back in, right? When it's time to come in. So ran into a little bit of that. So let's blame the pups. Let's see. Who else do we have in here? We have Susan Alloway saying hello, everyone. Hey, Susan. Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate you. We have Kurt M. Hi, all. I'm off to sleep with SOR in the background. All right, Kurt M. Hopefully we can make it a pleasant listening experience for you tonight. Should be going down. Susan Alloway says, it was a superb week, Rob. It was also a superb week here at Spaced Out Radio, and, we're going to go ahead and get into that SOR Weekly Review shortly so we can show you exactly how wonderful of a week it was here. Who else do we have? We have Cypher. It's on and popping. Okay, I like that. I can agree with that, too. It is definitely on and popping. We are in here on this Saturday night after hours, so it should be great. Crystal J. Hello, everyone. How are you? Hey, Crystal J. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. We have Roger Blair. Howdy, everyone. Howdy, Roger Blair. Thank you for coming on in. Appreciate you. We have JSCO77. Let's see. JSCO77. Appreciate you coming on in. Thank you very much. We have, let's see. Just looking through here. We have almost to the end. Kathy Evans saying hi. Thank you for coming in, Kathy. We have Chillgasm saying hi from Colorado. Alien head emoji, I guess smoke emoji, and then horn emoji. Okay, I got you. Chillgasm, thank you for coming on in. Let's see. Okay, we got Malou. Make sure we said Malou. Malou, highest taxes in the world, least corrupt country in the world. Not with my life. Bwahahaha. Thanks for coming in, Malou. Appreciate you. We have Christine G. It's Robbie G. Always good to see you. Always good to have you, Christine. It's always a great time when you show up. So I already know it's going down tonight. So thank you for coming on in. We do appreciate you. We have the Perminator. Hello, world. Hello, Perminator. Thank you for showing up tonight. Thanks for coming in. We got, let me see, Poncho Zork. Yes, we do have Poncho Zork. I be here now. Okay. I understand what you're saying. Poncho Zork. Thank you for coming on in. We do have Kira I Am saying Hey y'all, I am here and great show ahead with Rob at Spaced Out Radio. Thanks for joining us tonight, Kira. We do appreciate you. Uh, let's see. Okay, we got Snow Shadow, Trip to Lights, fantastic. Whoops, about to slip down. Okay. I may have to process that for a moment, Snow Shadow, but thank you for coming on in. I do appreciate you showing up. Seems like a new name too. If so, then definitely welcome to Spaced Out Radio After Hours. Please consider subscribing and coming back. We have great conversations 7 days a week. All right, silent listen, always here, but silent listening, as per your name with the heart emoji. We give the heart emoji right back to you, silent listen. Thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you. And I think we're almost done here. Okay, we do have the ferret. The ferret saying, "Hi, gang. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you, the ferret. Thank you for coming on in. We do appreciate you." Okay, and there we go. At the buzzer, Kim Jellin saying, "Hiya, Rob. Hiya, Kim Jellin. Thank you so much for coming on in. We appreciate having you here, and we really hope that we put on a great show for you tonight. And I think it will be, because usually, as long as we can sit down and have a great conversation, you know what I mean, which is the basis of it all, then I think it ends up being a great show. So we do appreciate you coming on in, Kim Jellin, and we will see exactly what we could do for you tonight. All right. Seems to be everyone, so I'll go ahead and appreciate you guys all for coming in. Welcome to After Hours. Hope your week was great. This is, a lot of people like to chill and relax on their weekend, and hopefully this is a show that can kind of help you do that. We're going to have some fun tonight, so you guys don't worry about that at all. What we will do, though, is what we always do. Let me go ahead and bring in our guest, Kara Phillip. And it could be about the topic we're talking about tonight. Maybe the shadow person doesn't want me to go ahead and have this conversation. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and bring her in right now. And ladies and gentlemen, we have Kara Phillip. Kara, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm good. I was going to say, do I feel special? This never happened before. Is it me?
Yeah, it's the paranormal energies or something. I'm telling you, Kara, I have a shadow person here. I mean, real life shadow person. And we've been having some things happening lately where there's been like some audible knocking that we've recorded on video out of nowhere. And I'm feeling like maybe there's some interference. Right now, I'm the only one here. And as this interference is happening, my dogs, I have like 4 dogs out front and they're out there going ballistic. So I have no
Huh.
clue what that's about. Yeah, but it could be our friend here. But yeah, so with that being said, hopefully we can get through this interview here. So what I would
Let's
like to
go.
do is just start out with you. And I looked into your programming and what it is that you're into, and we'll touch on some of those topics here. But I would like to start out with what got you interested into the paranormal, and kind of what led you on this path, if you wouldn't mind starting out there.
Yeah, for sure. So, what got me into the paranormal? It's been like my whole life. But and then it's a little bit more specific what got me specifically here. But I grew up in a haunted house, like so many of us, right? My house was the house I grew up in. We moved in when I was like 2. And the man that built the house, they had one daughter, an only child. I am too. And as the story goes, he was about to sell the house to somebody else, but then he met my parents and me, and he said, You guys will have this house. I'm selling it to you." His wife had died pretty recently. I don't know if it was in the house or if it was at the hospital. And they were moving to Arizona. I'm in the Chicago area. And his wife, Mrs. Bauer, I believe was there with me my whole upbringing, until I was about 12 when she left. My mom would hear her talking. She would hear me responding to her and interacting. And that was just always really normal to me. My mom's side of the family, it's not that unusual for them to say, do you see something here? Is there a ghost here? To each other, just to, normal conversation. Was that house haunted? Do you think so? So it was always just normal. And on the south side of Chicago, it's kind of a spooky place, a lot of urban legends and stories. So you just kind of grow up like that. I never even thought anything of the paranormal, really. It was just always part of me, and what I could see and hear and feel until I moved to West Michigan for a while. And it's not a spooky place in West Michigan. And I realized how connected I am to the paranormal world. So when I eventually moved back to Chicago, I started having experiences again. When I was in Michigan, I was busy with school, getting married, little kids. And when I moved back, I had a little bit more time and situations to pay attention. And I became a nurse eventually and kind of stopped seeing, feeling, hearing ghosts for a while. I think because I was critical care, so I was always really close to death, right at that veil all the time, that I think I just shut it off because I did not need to be at work seeing these things, feeling these things. I was there to work. So I think I shut it off. Now more to today. I started volunteering at Old Joliet Prison just to clean up. It wasn't because it was haunted. It wasn't because that wasn't even a thought. I just grew up driving by with my mom going to work. And I just thought it was so cool to be able to maybe get inside of the castle. It looks like a castle, so just to get inside, and it was long closed by then. So just to clean it up for the city and everything, and for tourism, basically. So I was so excited to get inside the walls, and I realized there was a group of people that were there every Saturday doing the same thing. So I became part of that group and became really familiar with the site and started having experiences, but it wasn't big enough. I would see or hear little, things moving, and I would just be like, yeah, I heard things, I saw it, but it wasn't big enough, and so finally had, my big experience that I think kind of really opened me up to what was around me. And then I said, wow, this place is haunted. And it became really normal to have experiences. At the same time, we started paranormal tours with my friend Rob, who's been a ghost hunter, paranormal investigator for a very long time. He led the tours, and I, started just going on the tours with him and started to become a more integral part of that team. And, more of a paranormal investigator in my own right, not just following him around. And that kind of led me more to the community and my life now.
Wow. Okay. So with that being said, did you ever have any situations where I guess where you had seen something before you ended up getting into these tours? Had you seen anything? Had you seen any sort of apparitions, or just something that in your mind said, oh, there definitely is something going on the other side?
At the prison or in life?
Just in life prior to the
In life,
prison.
I knew from a young age. I always, I grew up like before I could babble, not even really talk, kind of a thing. I would talk to this, to Mrs. Bauer. The most concrete thing I remember, it was just always a given that she was there. Like I would just be like, yeah, Mrs. Bauer is here. I could feel her. When I was about 12, she said goodbye, though. I don't know if that's when her husband died or if I was old enough and she didn't feel like she needed to stay with me. I don't know exactly why she left, but she left. I saw her. I was sitting at my desk with a big old computer doing God knows what, because I don't know what we did on computers then. It was so long ago and they were so new. But she walked like out of a wall, basically, probably where a bed was, walked around, and I could feel her put her hands on my shoulders. And it felt like I didn't audibly hear it, but just in my head, I heard, goodbye, like, you're good. I'm going to go now. And and I'm leaving, and I felt her hands lift off, and she walked out the door. And I kind of sat there for a second. I wasn't scared, but it was so concrete. And then I very slowly stood up. I looked down the stairs as if I was going to see her on the stairs walking out the door. I of course didn't. It was broad daylight, and she was gone. I never felt her again. And that was it. There was just no question, my whole being a kid. And then, until then, that was the most concrete that I can remember now, that there is the other side, without question.
Now, so when you stated that at one point it appeared that this apparition or entity said goodbye and kind of was out of your life from that point forward, what in your investigation over time, is this something that, because I always hear that these spirits are trapped in some sort of realm and they're stuck there. Mm-hmm. And with the situation I'm dealing with the shadow person, which I'll show you in a little bit here, but I wonder, because there was a point in time where it stopped manifesting itself, I guess, and probably a year passed with no activity. So I was assuming that whatever it was trying to do, that it showed itself and said, "Hey, here I am," to be recognized, and then kind of went away. So I felt like that was the case. Do you find more often than not there are things that trigger the release from whatever location or property that they may be attached to?
See, no, and that's an awesome question, because in this case, I'm pretty certain I know who it was. I'm pretty certain. How much was it a choice that she stayed behind, or maybe there just wasn't, that's why I say maybe her husband died finally and she was like, I'm going to go. I think it maybe was a little bit of a choice to stick behind. Maybe all of a sudden there's this other little girl in the same bedroom her little girl had, so I don't, I guess I attribute more consciousness to her than I maybe typically do, maybe, I do believe when we talk about ghosts, there's a whole variety. Sometimes it's at time, just like an echo. Sometimes it's just the track. Sometimes there's sentience. Sometimes there's just being trapped. And so I think in her case, I don't feel like she was trapped. I feel like she was able to leave, and we still had that house. My parents just moved out like 4 years ago. So, it was many, 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 almost 30 years that they still had the house after that. And I never felt her again. So I, with a lot of confidence can say she left. In other situations, though, do we have, and I guess in residential cases, like in your case, we have that timeline and more personal experience to maybe know. Now, when I talk about the prison, people say, okay, do you know who they are? Well, there are, probably countless people that died there, countless people with traumas that would trap them there. So to know who somebody is a really difficult proposition. So to talk about if they're going to move on or have anything, that's so, I don't even know where to begin with that, because it's so many. So that's why I say, like in my case, I think it really was just one woman. And I think she, really did move on. And I think in a residential or a more like intimate situation, you can establish that. I think in a bigger case, one of these big haunted places with a lot of spirits and a lot of energy, it's harder to say.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I mean, I felt, and I've talked about this before, this thing that's in this house, because there's definitely something here in this house. And I always ask, what's the best way to deal with something like this? Like, do you bring someone in to try to help get rid of it? And I've talked to other people. I've talked to other ghost hunters, paranormal, and some of them say pretty much, hey, if it's not bothering you, don't worry about it. Don't bother it. And I understand that. And then I guess they say that maybe you should interact if there's things that seem to be threatening or like a malevolence to it. Then maybe it's something that you want to address. How do you look at that? Like, what would be your advice on something like that?
So yeah, that would be, kind of a first question. do you feel threatened, or is it just there? That's that would be like my first question. If it's not threatening, I think I would be able to say, for me personally, well, that's Sam, like
Yeah.
that's just them being them. Um, which in your house, it's not always that easy to say though, right? Because it's your house and it's not somebody that you necessarily want there or want to share your space with. But if they're not, you know, you're sharing your space, I feel like. If it becomes more malevolent, then you have to escalate somehow. Can you ask it to leave, nicely? Can you have somebody come in and try to cleanse it? Have you done research? Like why is this entity there? Was your house something before? Was the land something before?
I definitely have done research online and looked in just the public record and couldn't find anything that had happened at this address. But so I started to think maybe it was potentially someone who was sick in past, and that maybe necessarily wouldn't be something that would be listed or recorded in a record. So I'm more feeling like that, and the only reason why I ask is because I was satisfied with the answer. If it's not messing with you, don't worry about it. Okay, I can
Yeah.
get that, and I can move on. And I really don't think about it until we started having the things start that were happening recently, like the knocking in the middle of the day, and then now, my dogs, they reacted to the knocking initially, and then they reacted during this issue that we were having right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's connected. It's very strange, but it to me, the lately has just been feeling more like it wants more, or it is seeking more attention for whatever reason. It is not necessarily malevolence that I'm feeling here, but I'm feeling like there's something it's trying to do, and I just trying to figure my way through that. And it's like, where do you start with that? You know what I
Well,
mean?
and that's true. Like, do you like want a relationship? It's so easy for me to say, like, yeah, when I go someplace, I'm happy to have an interaction someplace, so I'm like, yeah, talk to this something and see what's going on, see if you could figure something out. But again, in your own home, it is really different. Do you want to start inviting that energy that's around you all the time? It's less cute, for lack of a better term, like when it's in your home, in your space. And that's like for you to decide. There's certainly people that say, yeah, I know that's something, and sometimes a door is going to open and sometimes a cabinet door will slam shut, whatever. But it's just if you're comfortable with it. I think that's, for you and your heart and how those interactions feel.
So as a investigator, paranormal and ghost investigator, if someone do you ever have situations where you have someone just from the public that may reach out to you for some assistance in a situation like this, and maybe call you into their home to, I guess, to verify that there is some sort of presence there? And then, if you ever do that, do you end up giving advice to that? Because I know within the paranormal, I know certain people specialize in certain things. So you have the ghost hunters, and then you have the mediums who actually try to talk to these entities. And so, is that where you bring in the medium at that point to kind of,
I
yeah,
Yeah, I for me, anything with residential, because like I'm kind of saying to you, like it's your home. I don't know. I'm not big on, I don't like the idea of going into somebody's home. God bless people that do and can provide that help and support. I guess I really feel like so much is like on you. It's your home, what you want to feel, and I don't want to tell anybody how to feel or what to do in their home. And that's just me. I'm very like, hey, you decide how you feel. Don't let me influence this.
mm-hmm,
So I don't like residential things for that reason. It's a little, maybe it's more intimate than I want to
yeah,
be with somebody because, I have enough, like, I think in my job, like being a nurse, I have enough of that, like, intimacy and kind of closeness with people all the time that I kind of hold people's houses and away from, the world's a little bit more sacred. And there's virtue in being somebody that goes in and, into a residential case. But like for me, I think that's just not what I could do. So I would probably, if I was having a trouble in my house and I couldn't figure it out, I would probably find like a medium friend, somebody. I wouldn't want just like a team of strangers to come in personally. I would want like a friend of mine that's, a medium friend to come in. That's what I would ask for because they would just, I feel like kind of quick hone in
Yeah.
on what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know it gets tricky on the paranormal side because I know there's so many, there's usually teams of people who
Hmm.
specialize in different things who go into particular, even just like the prison that you were working at. You have a team of people that specialize in different things, so you can kind of get the whole bigger picture. Your part is to do this, theirs is to do that. Then you come together with the data at the end of the day. What I would say is, and what I've asked, because essentially when you look at it, anywhere on this planet that you can pretty much place your feet, someone is more than likely lost a life. A life is
Hmm.
probably come and gone. So, do you find yourself running into paranormal activity even when you're not looking for it based on that?
Yes, but I've also gotten so good, almost involuntarily, so like so good at turning it off because I can usually, I mean, if I'm like kind of tuned in and pretty open, it's not unusual to smell smells or, all of the things. I'm usually pretty good at sensing, but I've also gotten so great at turning it off. And I say, like, when I have some, time to really sit down and focus and even take a class with one of my medium friends, that's my goal. Like, one of my next down the line goals is to really learn how to control, being open to it and everything. I'm a master at literally, I can see or hear what a ghost, something going on in front of me, and I'll be like, I saw that. That didn't happen. I'll still do that to this day. I'm like, or did you see that too? And so just when I least expect it, yeah, it is not unusual to see, hear, or feel something, but I'm pretty good at just being like, if I wasn't expecting it, I'm good at kind of pretending it didn't happen, but it's pretty normal, to hear or see things for me. But I think I put up good walls. I think when I first moved into my house, speaking of, I was, there was definitely something, but my husband's quite a non-believer and he was like, "No, you didn't see that." And I'm like, "Okay." And I think I just shut it off. Like when I'm in my house, I think like just about anything could happen. And I'd be like, "That didn't happen," because I'm so good at just shutting it off. And I really do believe that comes from also I've been there for a lot of death and I've been there in a lot of, stressful deaths and situations. And I think I just shut that off so well.
Man, so I guess, and you bring a great point. I mean, being a nurse and being pretty much attached to death in a lot of cases, or just very bad traumatic situations.
Mhm.
Kind of, I would think, kind of helps you in the investigating part of the paranormal. But I would ask, what is it that, like, what is your long term goal when it comes to paranormal? Are you looking to answer questions about specific questions that you have about the other side, or what kind of drives you to continue to do what you're doing?
That's a good question. I think like the really short answer, but it's not, I don't know if it's the greatest. I just really enjoy being part of it's more of a this answer is more the community. Like why be part of the community, the paranormal community? I really enjoy the community. I enjoy that camaraderie. I enjoy the being able to talk about these things because I forget sometimes that when you're not with paranormal people, you don't get to talk about it like it's normal. They like your coworkers might be like, "Oh, I know that's what you do." And they might get used to it, but you're not like having a conversation like it's normal. So that's, my drive to be like part of the community, my drive to be like part of the paranormal and taking part in any of it. I love it and I can't really see being away from it. I think if I stepped away, I'd always find my way back. And I think for me, it's having probably the overall motivation is having more of those experiences and sharing them, more to continue those conversations, to continue, do we find patterns? Am I going to find like the great mystery to everything? I probably not.
Right.
I'm not going to assume I'm that person. But the more experiences, the more conversations, um, the more normalizing of it so that more people can hear the stories and say, hey, me too. Because it is amazing how many people, like those coworkers that maybe aren't into the paranormal community, once they realize it's not that weird, they'll come to you and say, hey, I've seen a ghost. And you're like, okay. So kind of being, I think that's for me personally, kind of my goal to make, kind of bring it a little bit more, a little more mainstream, not just a TV show, not just a Discovery Channel that people watch a show, but just that it's conversations everywhere, that we just keep having the conversations.
Yeah, because there's definitely something to this, and I was one of those people. I mean, I'm still period when I approach any of this stuff. I like to be middle of the road with it, and based on the evidence that I get, will take me one way or the other. Paranormal being part of the overall phenomena that we're dealing with when it comes to like cryptids and ETs, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm beginning to formulate the picture that potentially a lot of that stuff is connected.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it feels that way. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. I think that, and I always say that I think a lot of this stuff can be figured out using common sense and kind of connecting dots based on historical evidence, right? So then you, like you stated, you may not uncover the answer to the paranormal, but what you're doing is you're adding data to the overall picture. So you're doing your part, which is excellent.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and then too, like it's the bringing. I think that's why too I like sites, like historic sites, more than like a residential, because it also brings the history into it too, and it's using like, okay, so this. It's even we were just talking today about the guard. I call him the guard because he is at the prison. He, we think we know who he is, and we think, and he actually died, the one that we think it is, after a kind of, I don't know if it was a riot or a fight, but like was involved. This was a long, long time ago, and got hit in the head, and he had a brain bleed, but he didn't know it. This was long enough ago that you're not going and getting a CT and realizing these things. Kept going to work for 3 days. Finally died because of the brain bleed. Dropped, I think, at work. So, even as we have this conversation and it's bringing the history in and it's learning about history and sharing that with people, but then even when we talk about then that paranormal side, did he stay there because there was a traumatic event and he died there? Sure. Did he stay there because he was so dedicated to work and it's like he's still working? He went to work 3 days after, for 3 days after this, pretty intense blow to the head. Or did he just die kind of confused because he had a brain bleed and maybe doesn't even know what's going on? And so that's even part of the conversation too, as there are future interactions with this man, or this entity. So just kind of learning about the history, but also learning, now you start to learn about sentience. You talk about that. You talk about how much of this is intentional. Or is he just walking the same paths he always walked and you just happen to be in the way? That's all important questions to answer, and bringing the history in. And, so we share that with people too.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. So, what we're going to do right now is we're right at 58.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and prepare to take our first break of the night. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys wouldn't mind kicking back for a minute, we will be back with After Hour number 2 with our guest, Kara Phillip, and we'll be getting into some of the prison stories. I actually have some of those photos too, Kara, so we'll bring those
right
up and
on.
you can talk about it.
Cool,
And
cool.
you guys just kick back, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Radio after hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And we have our fantastic guest, Kara Phillip, tonight. We are going to be talking about some real creepy paranormal stuff, especially things that went on over at this prison. And I'll bring that up in just a moment. What I want to do real quick for our space travelers out there, you guys are already space travelers, consider taking that extra step and join the club. That's right. You can join our SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 per month by joining our Patreon. So please consider doing that. And yeah, jumping back into this, Kara, I know you had a residency right over at the Joliet prison.
Yeah, I got to, well, and that was all part of learning everything, working under, one of my best friends, now, became my best friend over the years, Rob, and really getting to put in the time and, helping with tours and really spending time there. So I do liken it to that 28 days haunted effect, like the Lorraine Warren concept. I wasn't there for 28 days straight, or I shouldn't say just Lorraine, the Warrens. Um, but I was there so much, and I really think that was kind of the breakthrough, really putting in that time, being there in the morning, cleaning, being part of it. The inmates were the ones that took care of the facility. That was their home. They cleaned it, they did the work. And so I think watching us do the work and being, cleaning it, we were kind of accepted as their own and really put in all that time at different times of day. And I think that really made all the difference in the world.
And I kind of want to show everybody because this isn't a place you would catch me at in the daytime or nighttime or anytime. When you guys see this structure, pretty sure you're going to feel the same way. It always puzzles me how paranormal investigators have the courage to go into and kind of invite the things that are happening in a facility like this into your life. I know you get to leave and disconnect from it, but just having the nerve to walk in knowing what it is that you might encounter, I tip my hat to you on that. But showing everybody what this facility looks like, yeah, yeah,
Gorgeous.
yeah. It really is. I mean, it
My
really
favorite.
is a gorgeous thing.
It was designed by the architect that designed the water tower place in Chicago too. So I mean, it definitely was meant as a work of art.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's no doubt about that. But okay, key in on the broken windows, and
Time.
that's the part where I'm like, it's telling me not to come in. It's telling me to
See,
just look
that's
from the
the
outside.
people thing. So the story of it, it was, of course, this is a very brief story. 1856, they began construction, and that yellow limestone is, just part of the area. It's called Joliet limestone. A couple of different towns in the area will kind of claim it as their own, but this is literally Joliet limestone quarried across the street. The quarries are still there, filled with water. It's this yellowish limestone. I live about 3.5 miles from the prison, and my cellar is the same Joliet limestone. It was built along, in the 1800s also. So it was 1856 it started, 1858 it opened. That's older than like peanut butter, sliced bread, all those things. It's old. The inmates constructed it and kind of built the walls around them. So this administration building was meant to be, kind of imposing and gorgeous all at once, to be a monument. That's the administration building, and the castle kind of comes out around it, right? The walls. So the administration building is where the warden lived with his family for many years. Eventually, of course, didn't anymore. But the kids would get on their school bus from the prison, and the front half of it, like the living quarters and the administration side, gorgeous marble fireplaces. There's like a ballroom. It was, beautiful, beautiful once upon a time. And then you go through some bars and you get to the other side. And now you're on the custody side. I don't know what they called it then. That's what you would say now, like in a jail.
Essentially, yeah,
Side.
that makes
But
sense.
nowadays it's the custody side. So then you cross the line, and that's now you're in the locked part. And it was all bars. It wasn't doors. Like modern prisons and jails are doors. This was all bars, and so the bars are still there. And it's a gorgeous building. It's partially caved in now. That's the danger. It's the structure, and maybe anybody trying to live there alive is what is scarier than anything else in there.
I mean, just looking at this building. So the first time you're about to enter this, and I'm assuming you walk through those front doors to get
Yeah.
in. Okay, so how are you feeling? Like, what's the emotion the first time you're walking into this structure? Do you already feel something before you get in, or what happens there?
The first time I got to go in, I went in through a side sally port, like the east sally port off the street. So this is wild because this prison is wild because it's right off just a normal road. I drive past it every day to go to work. It is a normal road that people drive down and live on, and it just this prison's there. So it's impactful for that reason. We have another state prison pretty close by across a valley, and people don't just live there. That feels like it's still pretty close for like a maximum security prison to living, where people live, but it still is a little distance. This is just right here. The walls, you could walk on a sidewalk right next to it. So the first time I ever went in, it was at night. It was through a Sally Port. I was just so excited. I spent my whole life driving past this place and just enchanted by it. I feel like it always called to me. Like it always was like, you need to come in here. I feel like I was supposed to find my way there. Just I live pretty far away, but my mom worked in Joliet, so I would, go there, drive by. Always enchanted. I found myself living close to it as an adult just by coincidence. And then they started hosting some tours. They were paranormal tours with the intention of, trying to, find a ghost. And I was just taking pictures. I was so excited to be there. I wasn't even like thinking like in the paranormal mindset, and it was raining, so it was kind of miserable too and cold. So I don't think I saw any ghosts or anything. I don't think I cared to. I was just so excited to be inside. And I love like that urban exploring concept and like
Yeah.
the K and the crusty thing. So it was just so far up my alley just to get inside the walls. But when I finally got to go in the admin building, that was part of the volunteering. That was, I didn't necessarily like see or feel anything specific, but it was at that point kind of just like calmer during the day because this place is active at all times a day. Is when I started to feel that there was more energy, and I just couldn't stand the thought of not going back the next week. I knew I had to keep going back because there was just something there.
Now, let me ask you this. And so you were there for 5 years, which is
Yeah.
like one day in this thing for me would be too much. So 5 years is just insane when you think about it. Over that 5 year period, what was probably one of the wildest things that you experienced in this facility?
Um, okay, so it's what I always say is my scariest story because I actually, to this day, I don't know if it was a human, like a live human, or if it was a ghost. So for many years, so this prison, it was 2002, it was officially closed. This side of the street, the annex across the street stayed open a little longer. It's in better shape. So 2002, it closed. This is in a neighborhood. Kids have been breaking in for a very long time. Prison Break was filmed here, but it was still right when it closed, so in a few movies were kind of filmed there, but kind of right when it closed. Over time, people were just breaking in. Because it's still DOC property and there was no lease, no agreement with the city of Joliet, the city of Joliet police couldn't go in. If somebody broke in and somebody knew they broke in, you would need a DOC employee to come from the other prison. So unfortunately, there's another prison nearby, another state prison. So somebody would literally have to leave their job, leave their post over at the other prison and make like a 20-minute drive over. So nobody was getting caught or arrested or anything. You could do whatever you wanted. It's also off a trail, like a nature trail that like sometimes people just live in tents along the trail. There's definitely the Joliet has definitely a homeless population. Sometimes you don't want to go to a shelter. They would go to the prison. So there was a little bit of and it's protected. I don't blame anybody for anything they did here. but it fell into disrepair. So that's why things were broken. That's why, so even though now it was a couple years, more than a couple years of tours, more than a couple years of things, there still sometimes was evidence of like squatters, somebody breaking in, maybe in the morning, they would find evidence that somebody spent the night there, right? So it's always not a foreign concept that there might be a live human doing something, right? So that sets the stage. So we were one evening, a group of us volunteers were there, and we were kind of walking around, just, kind of exploring at night. Nothing official, nothing, we are going to investigate ghosts tonight, but just kind of getting a feel for it at night. We spent more time there during the day, and if we were there at night, it was usually with a tour. So, bringing people in. So it was nice to have a little bit of time just to exist in the space. So we're walking, and I was walking with two other women, and usually we don't go into the showers. So showers, if you know anything about prisons, are sometimes violent places, sometimes traumatic places, maybe not sometimes, maybe all the time. And these are big showers at the end of the cell block. So there's nothing private, nothing individual, nothing anything. The guards are behind. The guards are not in the shower area. So if something happens, they're behind another space. It's probably going to be rough in the shower. So, they're known for us getting reactions there, but they're also not pleasant to be in. You feel right away, you feel that it's unpleasant. You feel that it's not a good place to be. So we were walking. One of us had a flashlight that was on. It was a big like mag light. We had flashlights on us, but not on because she had a good one. So we're about to set foot into the showers, really just to walk through to the gallery, honestly. And we hear it in these showers. It's like at a pool, or a gym or whatever, the big hole for the showers, all like the circle coming off of it. And we hear on that a very loud, like a wrench or a bat or something on it, a loud bang, bang, bang. And you hear it echo, it's loud, it's tile, She goes and she shines her flashlight right where we hear it from. She kind of didn't react. Her reaction was really flat. I think we were all just shocked. Like, what could this be? Shines her flashlight at it, and she didn't see anything. She turned, started kind of with her whole body. She was so freaked out, turned with her whole body with the flashlight away from it to look back at us because that was scary. It was a scary thing. And as soon as she was turning away and not looking, again, same exact bang, bang, bang. By now we're like, oh no. We don't know what's happening.
Right.
One set of knocks, you're like, that's so weird. And you could kind of like, again, like pretend it's not happening. You could like dissociate a little bit and be like, I'm not scared. This is fine. But the second time, just perfectly with her turning, that was a little creepier. As soon as it happened, she quick, spun her whole body around with the flashlight, shining right where the sound came from. And she didn't see anything. Now, the whole time we're not talking, like we're just all like, now, I don't even know if we were breathing, we're just so not knowing what was happening. She turned this time just eyes wide because she didn't see anything and had no idea what this was turning towards us again. She's turning towards us again. And again, bang, 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 really loud. Honestly, I didn't wait for anything. I just said, run. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
because it was so concrete. Like, I think if I believed, so there's differing opinions, right? Like on everybody that we tell the story or, other people that, spent time there and know what's going on, or even, out of the the three of us that were there, real differing opinions on what this was. Like, was it a human? Was it, like a live human, or was it not live? So in my mind, there was no way this was a ghost because this was just too much. It was too concrete. It wasn't like a discreet little knock. It was loud with energy. I really thought we were just going to like die that night. I'm like, this man has a weapon and
Right.
he's gonna get us. It was like every horror movie. If you keep standing here, something real bad is gonna happen. So I was like sprinting. I mean, we all were running together. The one with the flashlight was a little shorter and her little legs, she's like, I can't run as fast. And I was like, let's run, but two of us were together. She was like a step behind, but only so many of us could fit on the stairs at once. It's fine. Nothing else could have been done. But no, I kept like looking behind with my little flashlight that I brought with me. I thought I was going to see, like Michael Myers coming out of that door behind us because it was just so real. We ended up the one with the flashlight, her husband was still on the outside, actually, like in the front where this picture was taken from, basically. And we said, you gotta come get us. Like, no other paths were open. Everything was locked. We had to go back that way to get back out front to leave the
Mm.
prison, to leave the walls. And he's like, just walk through. And we're like, that's not gonna happen. Like, sorry, we will just spend the night here, I guess. Like, we are not going back through there on our own. That was too much. So we made him come up, like, and meet us and walk us through, because we just refused. He's like, really, there's nothing here. And we're like, I don't know, but I'm going to run through. I'll get to the other side to you. Like, just, I needed somebody else around. So that was my scariest. And it's because I still, to this day, this was a while ago, I don't know what it was. So that's my scariest. So that's, to me, like the risk. I worry more about live people than the dead people.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Now, was this at night? 'Cause you said
At
flashlights.
night. Yeah. So it was at
Oh,
night. So that was like, so now you're at a decided disadvantage, right? You know, 'cause if I can't see, again, if it's a ghost, they're probably not going to do anything to me, right? Like, nothing real, nothing concrete, nothing that's going to hurt me. But now, or is this a ghost that can, like, hold a wrench and bang it against a pipe? I don't know what's going on here. And if they can do that, and so this that never happened before, and that never happened since. So that's why I'm also, and even going into the showers, I'm like, there was somebody in there. Like, there had to be somebody in that shower. I think we just surprised them, is what I'm saying, in my head. I think if that was a ghost, that was the coolest ghost thing that's ever happened to anybody. And of course, it's not on tape or anything. I think it was a live person. So that was my scariest ever. That was,
yeah. So I mean, and yeah, I mean, chances are it could be, and it's good that you actually look at it like that, have an objective perspective on it. Yeah, it could be, and not just write it off as a ghost. More than likely it was something alive. But I'll tell you what, the more that I'm getting into this, and the more that I'm experiencing, it's answering a lot of questions for me. The knocking that we heard, being we're in a house, so we can obviously check the perimeter and do all that with cameras, and so we can verify if something alive is here knocking. And I can tell you, just from my experience, I am convinced that these apparitions or whatever they are, have some sort of ability to
absolutely.
affect physically our existence here. You know,
Absolutely.
I've
I
heard these things
100% agree.
walking on the roof and
Uh-huh.
footsteps, like audible footsteps. And then the knocking we heard was clear, clear as that. You know what I mean? Middle of the day. And the funny part about it, I don't know if it's really funny, but the cameras that we have inside, we have rings all around the house and then in the house as well. And right where my lady works at, she works near, her office is set up near the front door. This is literally 1 foot away from where the shadow person photo was taken. She was sitting in that seat. I was back here in the studio, and we were FaceTiming, and she asked me, was I knocking? And I told her no. So I go in there and follow up with her, because I have her check, make sure no one's around the house. No one on any cameras. And what was funny is that the ring camera inside was triggered. It was triggered, and then immediately when it was triggered, the dogs began barking like they were earlier when we had this mishap,
Oh my
and
God.
there was no evidence of anyone being able to knock. So that right there showed me that whatever this thing is able to kind of affect our 3D existence. You know
Oh,
what
a
I mean?
100%. Yeah. No, and normally I would usually kind of say ghost, like 100% they knock. At the same prison, footsteps, smells, all these things, and shared experiences too, that we could both be like, you see that, right? But something about that was just far too loud and far too concrete. So it was actually like, if we look, I'm pointing, like you can see me point, but there's like that first tower that you can see right by the stoplight, and then that next round thing.
Yes.
If you kind of, so that section in there, in the in between, that's the area the showers were in. So like when we ran out the door, it was like through the corner. That's the corner of the wall, and then you run out. So that's where that was.
And we have some pictures of, let's see, this entrance, and
So that's
then
the East Sallyport. That's also the Blues Brothers Sallyport. So that's why that's a big deal.
okay, and we have something from the inside here.
Just my favorite. So I love that's like so this is like my urban exploring too that just loves it too, like that crusty gritty, all of those. So that's just one of the galleries. If I was better at it, all of my friends are so much better at it than I am knowing the names of the galleries and everything. But that's one of the rows of galleries. So they were not well heated, not well anything, and it's not even doors. It's just bars. So we were talking about it today. Somebody that was an inmate said it smelled like rust and BO. And then on pancake day it would smell like pancakes too.
That is insane. So you guys were in there overnight in when it was in this
Yeah.
condition?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No. Couldn't do it. I don't know that inner thing that says yes, go in there. That thing I don't have, and I'm not
Yeah. No,
ashamed to admit it.
I totally have that thing that says go in there. But also it doesn't take, and I say it doesn't take long, but like it probably happened definitely over time that it just felt like home. It just was you just walk in, it just was home. So at first it was exciting and new, and after a while it was just where it felt good to be. Now, I mean, if you told me to just walk all by myself across that gallery at night in the dark, because you could actually see like leaner, we would call them leaners, like shadows leaning out um of the cells. So I didn't like to walk down in the dark. That was you're like, oh, they're gonna be there because you just see a shadow lean out.
Yeah, getting in the shadow. I'm glad you actually brought up shadow. Shadow people. So, okay. I don't had you experienced shadow people in this facility, and then I guess second question would be, what do you think they are? Are they ghosts? Are they what do you think they are in your
So
opinion?
for me, I think we all see, and I've heard other people say this too. I think we all, when we see ghosts, when we see, presences, we all kind of see them, at our own frequency, what our brain can handle. So for me, when I see anything, I don't see it in colors. I don't see it. I see it as dark, shadowy outlines. So to me, like what I see, everybody's a shadow person, so I don't think that means a description of anybody in particular. It always looks like a shadow to me and just like an outline. So, but I think there definitely is that space for what shadow people are, what people, that whole class of spirits. Are they spirits? I don't know. What we think of as
Right.
shadow people, I don't know. Sometimes, even the question when it's someplace like a prison, how much of it is somebody leaving, just maybe kind of leaving behind, just kind of like the ugh that gets left behind. Is it their soul? Is it their consciousness? Or is it just all those emotions and
Mm,
kind
I
of
like
crap
that.
that got left behind and stuck there? Wouldn't that I actually really kind of hope that for like their soul, that their soul was able to do something different. Because I think a lot of what gets stuck in places like this doesn't seem to be intelligent, but they weren't leaning out of their cell when they were locked at night, so there's something. It's not just an echo. It's not an echo leaning out like that. There's something that is left behind, but it's not like they're intelligent enough to know they can leave their cell either. If they knew they can lean out and that's not normal and a normal body thing, why aren't they just walking around? I think it's just kind of something, just kind of the yuck maybe is stuck behind for some of them.
I like that. I like that perspective, like the residuals or
Yeah, it's
the
like
residue.
residual. Yeah,
Yeah.
and even like in the cafeteria, it's not the cafeteria, it's the inmate dining room. There's I usually see it's like shadows. It's like on the walls. It's like literally it's like shadows. Like it's, as if it's lit and it's people. I usually see it in the gym too. The buildings are attached. I usually see them just kind of like swirling around a little bit and they're just kind of like there on the walls. That's not intelligent anything. That's not I think it was just like another high emotion place that they're just kind of that's when they got to talk and interact more and have something together. So I think just some stuff kind of gets left behind, or the gym is where they can interact. There's a spot in the gym where the guards would walk, and I pretty dependably could like see shadows move and hear them. It's just that's just an echo, though. I don't think it's anything even remotely intelligent. I think it's just an echo in that spot. So I think that's why I love the prison too, from a paranormal perspective. Not just I love it for the history, I love it for the photography, I love it for the crusty gritty, but I love for the paranormal. I think there's so many in one spot, different instances, different things. There's definitely things that kind of seem like maybe it's just like time folding in on itself, and maybe you're watching something that happened once upon a time, like the way it kind of happens. There's so many instances there that I'm pretty obsessed with it, just for all of those experiences that you get to have. And I think you get that in these big historical places with so much emotion. And there's water, and they say the ley line, there's a ley line that runs under it, but don't they run everywhere? I don't know, but
Right.
there's water there. There's a source for water. There is that quarry. That's why they built it there, because there's a source for water, because you don't want to be opening those sally ports all the time. You need to be able to water them when it's in 1856 and you're building it. It needs to have a spring. So there's natural water. The limestone holds on to everything. So I think it's kind of a tape for a lot of it, and I think it holds on to a lot of spirits too.
I like that perspective as well. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Good way to look at it. I know, and with this being in your backyard, that's just lovely, because this is something that you can go see. It's a very historic. So once you finished your 5 years here, did you start venturing out to other historical facilities like these, or what did you begin doing then?
So yes, I mean, parting ways was not voluntary. It has to do with management running the museum right now. There's a the inspector general did a report on them, that was released just recently. It's closed to the paranormal at this point. It's effectively closed for the most part. For most tours, they canceled most things. So we'll see. I hope its future is brighter than it's looking. I hope things turn around there. I hope the city does the right thing and it doesn't just go the way it looks like it's going, which is really sad. So no, it's an involuntary thing for us to all not be there at this point. Um, that all happened last summer. So we definitely did. It was a little bit of a recovery year, because we were sad, but also starting to go to a few other places. My heart is really like with asylums and jails. I love them. I've been so in hospitals. I've been so spoiled having this, it was so easy and so right here. And part of the passion of being there too was really just like, a community, bettering the community and helping clean it and helping bring tourism to the area. So part of it really was not just tourism or not just paranormal. Part of it was like that tourism and bettering our community and that volunteerism. So we did go to a few other locations. I'm definitely trying to make a point. Oh, it sucks to drive places though, doesn't it? Instead of just going someplace every Saturday morning, four
Right.
miles away, not even 4 miles away. So that's been really hard to kind of wrap my head around, not having the space anymore for the time being and having to find something else. So for the most part, me and our whole group, we've actually started volunteering for helping another museum build up, which has nothing to do with the paranormal. And I think I immersed more heavily into the paranormal community. So making more of a point to go to the paracons, more of a point to go to different events in the area. And that's just going to continue this year.
Yeah, and I know
and
you
reaching out more
have.
to other people. It sucks, like I love my other stuff, but I loved this stuff more.
Yeah, I mean, there's stories to be told there, and I know you
Mhm.
are, looking at the history of these locations. I mean, you get to help tell the story, so that's awesome. Now, when you look, because I know you have your show Into the Obscure
Yes.
on Paraflixx, right? Okay,
Yeah, so we're filming the first season right now. So we will release. We're about half-ish way through for filming the first season.
okay, and so I guess doing this show, is this a show that's going to take you to other locations, or how is it? How
No,
is this set up?
it is a talk show. So podcast like, but because it's on a streaming network, you call it a talk show. But so a talk show, so talking to people from, kind of all over the paranormal community. So people that are either part of a team or are, have their own situations going on. So various people, like the first season so far, it's going to be Nick Simons. We just had him on the show this week. So Nick Simons from 28 Days Haunted, Jen from Bump in the Night Society, Shannon Collins. So definitely it's going to be like authors and investigators and, just kind of everybody and talk to
Yeah.
them about their experiences.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I saw your. I know you have some episodes. I guess this was prior to Paraflixx that you have
Mhm.
on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
and just for everybody to know, the links are in the description of this video. So you guys can definitely go ahead and check her out over there. Some awesome shows. Make sure to go over there and subscribe as well. Now, with that being said, so okay, so being that you like to get out here and visit these paranormal locations, and you're kind of, you think about it, you're in the center of the country there. So,
Hmm.
if you were to have a choice, which direction to travel, East Coast, West Coast, would you go east or would you go west? Looking into newer
Different places.
structures. Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go East Coast because that's
I
a
would think
little bit
so.
because of density. Yeah, just density, even, just kind of you go. Stuff is a lot closer together. I'm so jealous of all these New England people that are just like, oh, I'll just go here. No big deal.
Right.
They
Yeah.
have a much shorter drive than I do. Because we even like Ohio has a ton of places, which is wild to me. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why Ohio, and even people that are in Ohio, they're like, I don't know why we have so much. But it's still a little bit of a drive that way. So I would go east.
I'm feeling that, and I get that same answer from others as well because I guess the main thing being that it's more historical buildings still standing on the East Coast. But if you had to go west, is there anything west that intrigues you as far as something you may want to see at some point?
Uh, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even like, and this is terrible. I think of the West Coast and I think of more like Bigfoots, more,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even
yeah,
like think of like the haunted locations or anything
yeah.
too much. And I think it's just like that, and I think I don't think about the West Coast because I'm like, oh, that's a long drive or flight to even get to where something is. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
be a while. So I just put it out of my head, which is horrible. But
Well, no, no, no. I mean, it's really because I feel the same way too. I looked at that, and obviously you have colonial structures up on the East Coast, been there
Mhm.
since the 1700s. It's a lot newer things here on the West Coast. So, I mean, just on that alone, it makes sense. But then I started looking into it or thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, well, we do have Alcatraz. Well, we do have
Yeah, I mean,
couple
yeah.
things out here, but it's not as historic at all as the East Coast. So it makes more sense because, like we said earlier, there's pretty much first of all, there's already the history that's there,
Mhm.
and then just to think on top of that of how many people have come and gone over the years, you would think it would just probably be a lot more active on the East Coast, but. and I talked to other paranormal investigators. They feel the same way. But but someone pointed out to me as well. You had, when you think about the West Coast, you have a lot of the ghost towns and the gold
True.
rush settlers and
Hmm.
things of that nature where you may tap into something. So,
I think, yeah, for me, I think I'm more like attracted like to the old, to the history, to the stones, that very old cemetery, like go to Maine and see the oldest cemetery. I think I just love all of that stuff so much more. Just like personally, I'm way more attracted to that than like the Western stuff. And if I'm gonna go like out west, just give me the ocean, honestly. Like I think on like I don't even think about it as like investigating or anything, cuz like please just park me at the ocean. Please just like let me have that like, Pacific, West Coast experience. That's what I think of. Like I would love to go out west, but I don't even like have it on my paranormal radar because like just physically like let me go like hike in the woods somewhere and like be with redwoods. Let me do all that stuff. I'll save the ghosts for the East Coast.
yeah, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, so a lot of the facilities you talk about, asylums and old
Mhm.
hospitals and the old prisons, and that's what you'll find out that way
Yeah.
going east. And for a moment, I'd got that Joliet prison confused with like the Shawshank prison,
Hmm.
which it's just that style of
Keep going out east. See, that's
exactly,
the
exactly. Now, but you're also describing all of the perfect scenes for a Michael Myers film, and I kind of understand why you thought Michael Myers might have been in this building because that's probably where he would be.
and just
So
something about like the wordless banging, just like, and again, like my perceptions of any entities or spirits or ghosts or whatever in the prison were never so concrete. It would be I would hear footsteps. I would this nothing like that banging. I've heard keys jingling. I've smelled smoke, like cigarette smoke. Never something like a heavy wrench, like or a
yeah,
metal bat banging on a pipe, never except that one time. So I'm still convinced. I'm still convinced it was a live person. And there is somebody out there being like, and then these girls screamed and ran. Ha ha ha. Like somebody has that story and I just haven't met them.
I'm going to show you something here. Now, this is I've come along this in just to give a little brief history of myself. I kind of came into the whole understanding of the ufology situation, the phenomenon, the UFOs, finding out that these things were not only real but here on a daily basis all the
Uh-huh.
time. And I started there, and I looked at the cryptid stuff like, okay, didn't really understand the connection to that, but then the more I speak to people, the more it kind of opens me up to how those things could be connected. And then when I have my own experience with the shadow person, then that took me into the whole, because what I have here and what I'm about to show you is something that we caught on, my daughter caught on camera here a little bit after midnight one night. She's on FaceTime with a friend. Her friend snapped the picture while they were talking and told her that someone's in your house.
Oh,
And exactly. And then so she sends her this, and then she shows it to
my
me.
God.
And then I'm like, because I already knew at this point what shadow people were. I've been doing shows already, talking to people. So I knew what a shadow person was. But then when this came up, I was like, okay, there's definitely something to this. So let me bring it up
Now,
here.
as we're talking ufology and everything, I've talked to people that feel like the shadow people have to do with aliens. It's people, somebody
Yeah,
traveling
I've heard that too.
interdimensionally. Like, so is that intelligent stuff maybe seeming a little intelligent? It's not a ghost. It is somebody intelligent, just on a different phase.
I get both sides of that too. I hear both sides of it where someone feels like it might be related to extraterrestrials, feel like it could be someone like you or me in astral travel, while we're asleep, and
Yeah.
this is what you see. And so there's so many different ways you can go with it. But this thing was standing in my
Yeah,
living room
dinosaur.
here, and
Oh, stop it. Ugh. Like
Do you see this? This is
And holy moly, like how terrified. So I'm extra like, oh, because if like you're seeing this through FaceTime, like imagine being the friend and then imagine, just kind of like get out of here. That is terrible.
it is.
You know,
Everyone here has seen this a few times, but paranormal and ghost hunters, I definitely want to show you because this is something that I feel is somewhere in that realm. Not sure exactly, but the definition obviously is there.
see,
You can
to
see
me,
exactly
like
what that
that
is.
makes me feel like really like it is something more kind of interdimensionally. Like that's like the feeling I get. I don't feel like seeing that feels not like a ghost. That feels like
Yeah,
I'd be so curious, like if you had a medium come in or whatever, because like that doesn't make me feel ghost. That makes me feel like somebody, like a fate, like whether it's a time thing, or
whether
just
it
really where,
like it's something right in that next realm where it's just like right
yeah,
across that veil,
like the
and
phasing kind of like glitched or something. Like they're right there.
that's what it feels like. And so this is the thing. Like prior to this image being taken, I'll tell you the backstory on this. I didn't put these things together immediately, and people here have heard the story. But so what would happen in this studio I'm in right now? Probably about I'd say 6 months, 8 months before this was taken. This was taken November of 2022, so a little over a year ago. So about 6 to 8 months prior to this, in this studio that I'm in right now, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there editing or doing some work, and I would literally hear footsteps walk right above my head, like someone is on the roof, like not faint. We're talking about definite steps on the roof. So, first time I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. Somebody must be in the crawl space. That didn't make sense to me. So after I would hear it over time, I would walk out of here, and there's access to the crawl space outside. And so I would go out there, and I would literally go and take a look because I'm feeling like I don't know what this, there's really no explanation for this. Someone physically has to be up there. And then what happened was at dinner one night, I'm sitting there talking to my daughter, my lady's there, her son, and we're all sitting at the table eating. And I bring it up. I'm saying, I've been hearing for sure footsteps walking across the roof at night. And my girl, she didn't hear anything. She said she didn't. Son said he didn't. And then my daughter says, I've been hearing the exact same thing. And her room is on the opposite side of the house. She was like, I didn't want to say anything, this, and that. So that's when we confirmed that more than one person was hearing this. So 8 months later, roughly, this picture gets taken in the hallway. So that's when I put the two things together. I'm like, okay, these things have to be related. I mean, can't be a coincidence.
No.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, so, okay, is it just you and your daughter that see, hear, feel the things, or are the other two starting to at any point?
The other two, the girl, she actually was the one that alerted me to the knocking. So
Okay, so now
yeah,
you all are. Okay.
now we all are. That's what I'm saying. So it seems like, because when this was taken November 2022, from that time till about 2-3 weeks ago, nothing happened. No other activity, no shadow, no anything, no steps on the roof, anything. And then we get the knocking that we get where it triggered the camera, and we got that on film. So we have the knocking on film. The camera comes on, and immediately, as soon as it's triggered, you hear the knocking immediately. So that just shows that whatever it was that was knocking likely triggered the Ring camera, which set the dogs off. And so we have that. And so I'm kind of putting it all and I don't know if this one is connected at all, but we had a random lady show up at our front door. We have cameras all out in the front. These cameras did not pick this lady walking up to the house. She was at the front door, middle of the day. She was at the front door, and I'm here in the studio again. And my girl, she's working in her office in the living room, and she comes and tells me that there's a lady, some weird lady at the door, and she's asking to come in
No.
and use our shower.
Get it.
Just
No, stop it.
random.
Stop.
This definitely happened. So I'm like, what? So I walk out there, and the lady is sitting at the door, kind of looking disheveled a little bit, and she asked to come in and use the shower. Obviously, we're like, no. And then she leaves, and she does not get picked up on the camera leaving. She doesn't.
So listen, this reminds me of like this is like a Star Trek thing. It reminds me of like when somebody gets stuck in the wrong time and then they like have to come back and like fix something, and they're not like real people because they're from the future, you know, like they circumvent situations. I feel like this person is trapped here or something in a different phase, and that woman was sent to try to get him out. I don't know. Like this, that's so creepy. That woman is. Oh, that's what would creep me out the most.
Yeah, and here's the craziest part about this is I have the receipts for it all. That's the thing that keeps blowing my mind about all of this is I have the receipts. It isn't just something I'm saying, retelling the story to the best of my recollection. Like I have the receipts, and not only this. Prior to all of this, I have a UFO sighting that I caught on film in this backyard in middle of the daytime. 47 UFOs at one time right over our head. My girl saw this, my son, we were all in the backyard, and I got it on film. Clear blue skies, no clouds in the sky. It was about 108 Fahrenheit that day. And these things just float. They were in a ball at first. They were swarming. And then I went and ran and got my camera, came back out, and they were flying overhead in a formation like a V, almost like birds. And I'm sitting there looking at these things, and they're little round balls with these little black things sticking out the bottom, like little pipes sticking out the top and the bottom. And I got that on film as well. So it's like, I always ask myself, like, why am I getting all these receipts? And that's why I show them every chance that I get, because it's more than just the story. You know what I mean? And I think like the data that I've captured and other people have captured, that it's important for that data to be cataloged and looked at, because someone can look back on these things that I'm showing and say, I saw the same thing, and then kind of get that collective understanding and realization that what we're going through or what we're experiencing is a real thing.
I absolutely, like, because I was already thinking like alien, even as, you know, like thinking that, like I brought it up. I don't think this is a ghost. Like, I think you're dealing with some extraterrestrials. That's not what we call them anymore, right? But like, that's what it feels like. This doesn't feel like
A ghost thing.
like ghosts. I don't know. Like, or maybe it's just a different kind of ghost than I'm used to, you know, whatever. But like, this feels, I think somebody noticed you someplace, kind of a thing, like for you to see things in the sky, for like them to try to, this lady, I think this lady was something, like probably not just like a run-of-the-mill disheveled lady needing a shower. I think that was like meant to do something.
What's so weird about that is we're probably the fifth house off of the corner. So you why this house, for one? Why would you pick this house to come up to the front door and ask that? And then second of all, how is it possible that you're not triggering our camera walking up the driveway or walking back down the driveway? Neither time did you trigger that camera, which doesn't make sense to me. But when you look at all these other things and you try to put them together, this is what has me under that belief. And I think it's my duty really to kind of show people that and say, hey, what do you think about that? So they could kind of enlighten themselves and say, hey, dude, this is more than stories. And then when you go back and you listen to other people's stories, then you could say, okay, wow, that was probably a real situation there. And it gives more credibility, because obviously the skeptics look at paranormal and all this and they say it's just in your imagination. But when you have receipts, it's kind of hard to deny that. What do you take out into the field when you're trying to capture data? Like, what's your best thing that you use to try to capture data?
For me, honestly, it's my cell phone because it's always in
Yeah.
my hand. So that's like the important factor, right? It's always there no matter what. Um, when I try to have a backpack full of things, suddenly I just have a backpack full of things and I'm not doing anything, you know? So if I try to bring more things, I love when other people have, you know, anything cool, any toys, anything. I love it. You know, I like a good REM pod, you know, like anybody. I like that over there. But for me, it's my phone. The coolest, speaking of like, you know, the receipts, the coolest story that I just get a kick out of every time because I think it's so funny. My friend Rob, a few of us, but it was me and him that went to the showers, the different showers in the West Cell block, the other side. One day, it was a day we were hanging out, but it was dark because the showers have no windows. So four of us were there, and I was just recording because I was like, oh, I'll just get, you know, content at the very least, right? Something will happen. We'll say something funny, whatever. So I was just recording, and I'm holding, you know, just holding it. And all of a sudden, he and I were like across the room from each other, and I heard, and I thought it was him. I heard just a big, you know, like a breath. And I thought for sure it was him. And I was like, ew, why is he being gross? Like, why is he breathing like that? Like, and honestly, I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, I'm just going to let him be weird and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. I guess he really, like, it was like a sigh, but it was a weird sigh. I was like, maybe he just needed that in his life right now. Like, okay, I'll live with it. And so a little, you know, like a few moments passed. It felt like a long time, but it was just like, and he goes, did you just breathe really loud? And I go, no, you did. And we realized, and I caught it, like, you know, just because I was videotaping and caught it. And it was just like we were totally tripped out that we got it because it was not any of us. And I thought it came from him. He thought it came from me, like across the room. And I just think for me, the cell phone is how I get things, how I capture things. I'm, you know, always just recording, always, you know, and that's how you get to get things. Or even if I feel something behind me as I'm walking in these dark galleries, I'll just like take like selfies, but pictures behind me. And, you know, sometimes you'll get that head like behind you a little bit. And I always say, I'm not looking at this till I'm like long out of the gallery though. We don't need to mess around. You know, I don't need to see this right now. But for me, that's the winner. It's the cell phone because it's just always present.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's the best tool that you have on you. You know what I mean? And a guy I talked to, a friend, Long Island Bigfoot, he said something that makes a lot of sense. And he was just talking about building, especially when you're trying to capture things like this or things that I've captured, to just developing a muscle memory when it comes to pulling your apparatus out and then getting to record. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's as easy as setting like a quick button to bring the camera up and begin recording, and just to have it. Because he says what he does when he goes out and looks for Bigfoot, he'll have his camera and he's just okay, record, and it's just like developing that. So what it'll do to practice is he'll take a picture of a bird, okay, bird, or he'll get a picture of an airplane, and then just having that, building that muscle memory kind of puts you in the best position to capture something when it really is time to capture something. So
Yeah.
I always thought that was great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, if I'm going to bring something else, of course I got, because you're supposed to have a nice little recorder, you know, like everybody has. I have no muscle memory with that. I find it irritating because I'm not good at it, you know, whereas like I have a perfectly good app on my phone, like that I can find right away and work and handle, and it records instead of this little thing that I'm not good at. And frankly, I'm not going to get good at it. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to put the work in. I'm not interested.
Yeah, and one of the camera that I had on my phone, it wasn't the greatest camera. So, end result is that the video may not have been the greatest video, but you know, as long as you have something that a newer phone, usually the cameras are going to be okay. Yeah. So
Oh, I've even stepped it up when I got my new one. I kept my old one, which is still a fantastic phone. I was like, all right, this is the other phone I bring with me, you know, and like this might be what I use because it's not hooked up to the network or whatever. And
Hmm.
just that's all I do with it, you know, is just and be ready to go. So it's not like my phone that's also hooked to the network and maybe it's going to pick something up that's funny. I don't know. Like one that's just in airplane mode and just being an awesome camera and recorder that I'm
Yes.
comfortable with, like, is probably going to become as we head into the season, you know, a little bit more. So the same phone I've been carrying around for like over a year, I think is still going to be my primary tool, and my normal phone, my real phone, will probably be in my pocket.
Yes, and actually, I just got a new phone recently, so I'm actually going on a cruise next week out to Catalina Island and over to
Nice.
Mexico. Yeah, so we did it last year, and I took my camera out. Then I was out on the ship deck, pitch black night, looking for any sign of anything. Didn't see anything, but I had a great time, and so I'm doing the same thing this time because we know it's Catalina Island is a hot spot. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I capture something this time. I will be ready to capture something. Just put it like that. And that's kind of how I look at things just going forward, period. It's like, and my girl doesn't really like it because then I'm focused on looking for these things while we're on vacation, and she doesn't like it, but I can't help but do it. You know what I mean? And it's because I know it's there. I know it's there,
Yeah.
and it's just
I
like
feel like
I
you have
might
like that
catch it.
connection with the aliens. Like I feel like, you know, that's your jam. That's like what I'm picking up. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of like going on that cruise, that's what you're gonna see.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully I can't because I'm just trying to move the needle here. I'm just doing my part to try to move the needle. Whether we're talking about UFOs, paranormal, and we talked about how all these things are connected anyway, it's just moving the needle to a point to where the rest of humanity understands that the
Yeah.
reality that you think you live in is not reality at all. And I
Yeah.
made this point before where I put it in perspective that with the earth being 70% water, 30% land, we have 95% of the oceans unexamined, and we have maybe 10% of land that hasn't been examined. So overall, 65% of this earth that we live on is unexplored or unexamined. And that is crazy
Absolutely.
to think of because we live
Yeah.
here every day. And to sit and say that you have any finality in understanding what it is that we're doing here is just
Mhm.
bonkers to even say that because
Right?
the numbers show that we can't understand this.
Yeah. I agree. There's so much, and I so understand that when we don't want to see it, we kind of don't see it, or when we don't expect to see it, we don't see it. I think we're all really good at that. So how many times have we all seen, you know, a UFO or whatever, but if it's not what we're expecting, we just don't process it and we don't want to admit. And then who are we going to tell, right? Like without people talking about it and bringing it to light, you don't talk about it because most people are going to say, okay, you know, and so
Yeah.
you learn to not talk about it really quick. And that sucks, you know, like, so and again, that's why, like, I love being part of the paranormal community because I just have people around me that we can have like a real conversation
Yeah.
about, yeah, I saw this. And we go, right on.
Yeah.
Here's what I saw.
I agree. I agree. You're doing the right thing, and definitely want to see you do more. I think you're good at what you do. I've seen the work that you've done, and I think you have a good energy and kind of knack for being able to get this translated across lines. So I'm going to follow you in the things that
Oh,
you do
thank
going
you.
forward. Yeah, no problem at all. You keep doing great work. And with that being said, we're at the end of the hour. If there's anywhere where everybody can find you, please let them know. And yeah,
Yeah, the easiest, just start at Facebook, Kara Phillip. Also, Instagram, Kara Phillip Official. Those are and TikTok, Kara Phillip Official also. Facebook, I post everything there. That's just kind of we all pick one, right? That we're just like the best at, you know, and really like default to. Sometimes I'm like, oh God, I have Instagram too. So Facebook is kind of my hub. So Kara Phillip.
okay, okay. And the show is Into the Obscure. You guys
The
can catch
Obscure.
You can catch the some episodes currently on YouTube, and the newer ones will be coming out on PARAFlixx.
Yes, they will be PARAFlixx official, our exclusive, official and exclusive, right? I will be promoting the snot out of them. And we have a new co-host, Paige Dalton. So she is just delightful. Follow her too. We're doing the show together, so we're really excited. So you'll be seeing us a lot more like just kind of out and about this summer. You know, we are definitely, I just started a new job and it is winter, so everything's a little quieter for right now, but it'll get a little bit more active coming up here.
Okay, so I'd love to get you guys maybe back both together to talk about that show once you guys get it going over there. How about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Kara. Well, it's been a pleasure, everybody. Give it up for Kara Phillip. Amazing work that she's doing over there. Make sure you guys go follow her. Remember, those links she just gave are also in the description of this video. Kara, thank you so much for coming in. You have a great rest of your night, and we will talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care. Yep.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, guys. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and get ready to pause for the cause, take our second break of the night. Great guest, Kara Phillip. Hope to talk to her some more. So much more we could talk about. But you guys just kick back real quick in about 5 minutes. So we'll be back with hour number 3 right here on Spaced Out Radio. See you in just a minute. All right, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio After Hour number 3 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. And we want to thank again our wonderful guest for tonight, Kara Phillip, for coming in and bearing with the technical issues that we dealt with in hour 1. I'm going to call them technical issues, but probably had something to do with something else. Something that didn't want us doing what we were doing. And I guess I'm okay with that because we have moved on and we had a great uninterrupted interview. And hopefully, hour 3 goes the same way. Now, what we'll do is we'll bring in, as we do on Saturdays, our guy, Sir Brian Bowden. And Bowden talks, and let's just see what he's talking about this week. Mr. Bowden, how are you, sir?
I'm exhausted, Rob.
Yes, I understand, man. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining us. We love it. I'm glad you're here.
I want to apologize to you, to Dave, everybody in Spaced Out Radio, and the audience. And it's called life.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of kids, and then the daughter's boyfriend gets sick. It's a mess. But
good man. You're a good man.
You got to do what you got to do. So
that's right. That's right. Family first, always, man. Yeah. Like, do that, and then if you can get to the show, great. If you can't, hey, we'll see you next week, man. So we appreciate you, though.
You know what? It's been the last couple of weeks. I don't know if anybody else is feeling it. There's been a lot of pressure. A lot of people telling me like it's negative. They're feeling depressed. They're down, and a lot of weird stuff happening. I don't know. Well, I'm hearing this from a bunch of people. I don't know what, hopefully you're not going through it, but there's a lot of people getting hit by something out there. So I figured I'm gonna change this whole little ball game up, and I'm gonna do just a couple of slides, and we're gonna change it up. We're gonna go from the negative to the positive.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I want to do.
I like that. Floor is yours. You can present anything you'd love to present. I'll bring it up.
I shared some screens, and we're going to talk about the law of reversibility.
Let's do it.
Now, everybody's probably heard the law of attraction, and that's attraction without using beer or alcohol. This is the law of reversibility, so it's really, really simple, and we're going to go through it. And I just figured, something a little bit more positive that everybody can be doing. Tonight is a full moon. It's known as the snow moon, and you're allowed to change things during the full moon. So you want to set your attentions right. So let's start setting the attentions to laws of reversibility, depending on where you are. You can even go out right now on the East Coast where I am, closer to 2 in the morning, and do some good. But so basically, if water can turn into steam, then steam can turn into water, right?
Yep.
So they're the same thing, but they're vibrating at different frequency. But it's exact same thing.
Right.
Very simple philosophy on it. So if you have circumstances in your life which can produce a feeling or an emotion in you, then a feeling or emotion in you can produce a certain circumstance. I know this is a little bit complex to kind of deal with right now, but so they're the same things vibrating at different frequencies. Like if you're feeling healthy, it should create health. If you're feeling happy, you'll create happy circumstances. This is why everybody, even when I was having the worst years of my life, I had a friend that was, you got to remain positive. Like, you have no idea what I'm going through right now. It's super hard.
Right.
It's the truth. And I'm not one of those, new agers, as they said, like the health expos and stuff. But you do have to remain positive. So if you receiving wealth can cause you to feel wealthy, which it can, right? You hit the lottery tonight, you're going to be like, see you later, everybody. Whatever it is. Then the feeling of wealth, being wealthy, can cause you to also receive the wealth. You understand the mindset we're going with right here?
Oh yeah. Manifesting, yeah.
It's kind of like manifesting, but it's not. It's putting yourself on the positive vibe, on the positive track. Okay. We use this. I have something called an active intelligence encounter. And that's where I use that for CE5 work, for cryptid work, for interaction with cryptids, ghosts, you name it. It's all about your intention. And if your intention is good and pure and you send it out to the universe usually responds in kind. So what you're trying to do is feel the feelings and desires before it manifests. And this feeling will actually move it to cause into form. So when you were with your girl, before you were with your girl, you had a feeling and you manifested it, right? I like
Yeah.
that girl over there. It's all about, and you do some actions to it, but you can also do it by changing your mindset. I'm going to do this. Change it from, we don't have any water to, oh, I've got a bottle of water. It's all how you flip it. I know it sounds crazy. This stuff works. And we need it at this point because life is not what it should be. So, again, what you're trying to do is install the thoughts and feelings and the desires into your body and then produce them in real life. And you got to learn, like Slide says, not only to say it and think it, but you got to believe it. And you have an ability to create an amazing life. Everybody's been through some tough times. Everybody, no one that I know of grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth.
Right.
People have to struggle, but I didn't get this job, but I'm getting the next one. I'm going to nail the next one. The next one, they're going to give me a raise. You got to go through that whole positiveness of it. It's really, really important to change your view and the way you look at life and how you take this on. Because in this day and age with, prices shooting up and people not having money and people stealing here and there, you can get really negative really quick. Change it, flip it, right? And one of the best ways to do it, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but you need to get yourself into a place. So you might as well just start saying something on a daily basis. And I wrote something here. I am a magnet for abundance and success. And every day in every way, my life is getting better and better. I am worthy of all the good things that life has to offer. And I open myself up to receive them with immense gratitude and joy. I trust the process of life. I am safe and I am loved.
Nice. I love that.
Well, it's. I know this is totally different for Spaced Out Radio, and for most shows, but it's important that if you want to see a UFO, you got to send that intention out. Hey, in your mind, think it. You don't even have to speak it. I want to have an interaction with you. I want to see you. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. I just want to have an interaction. And when you positively send that out as one person, it happens. You send it out as 10 people, it happens quicker. The more you do it and the more the intention's there to bring in this craft or this experience, the more it happens. Have you ever noticed? I have one friend, the guy, I don't even know, he must have been born in SHIT because he'll go someplace like, oh, scratch off $1,000. Like, are you kidding me? All the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where they go or do. My youngest daughter, I'm gonna say to her, honey, where'd you get the Lambo? She's gonna go, oh, I saw this guy. I said he had a nice car and he gave it to me. This is the type of kid that gets stuff like that. They just give it. I was never like that. I wish I was, but it's all about this positiveness that's going on. Thank you, Kira. In relationship to if you're having that haunting in your house, which I saw the ghost, the black shadow.
Yeah.
I heard about the knocking. The woman in front of the house is a little bit more strange than it should be.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not being picked up by the rings. Although ring isn't always the best. I've been outside my house standing near the ring, and if you freeze after a while, the ring stops recording.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I was trying to explain to people, I used to do this all the time. If you have those automatic lights going on, if you walk slow enough, it will not trigger those lights.
True.
And I think what you got going on in your home is residual hauntings. And it's just playing. And it's just playing. And eventually, a couple of years now, you'll get that lady. Do not let that lady in your house.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what her eyes look like. Um,
I thought about that recently and I couldn't recall. I thought about the black eyes. Yeah, I
well,
couldn't
yeah.
recall.
So I have a theory on black-eyed kids and people and shadow beings and stuff. And shadow beings, when you're in your bed or whatever in your room in the dark and they're leaning over to you and you kind of feel fear. So this was the first time I've ever had one. Never had one since. I've heard about it from people like the Hat Man. They always wore a hat or brim. My wife was sleeping. I'm in my apartment in the Bronx and shut the lights out in the restroom, shut them out so my eyes can adjust to the dark. They do. I walk, the door to our bedroom's closed. I open that door, and standing in front of me in the black was a darker black. And I gunned up and boom, right at it. And it dissipated. I'm like, what the hell was that? When I walked in the room, I turned to the right where the bed is. There was one of them leaning over near my wife, and I ran right at it, and it just went, it poofed away.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: if you have those shadow figures coming to you, and especially when you're sleeping, um, the fear is the key, and the fear is what they feed off of. This is very much like Monster Inc. Okay, the creatures go in, scare the crap out of the kids. The battery is charged. Bing, they're done. Same principle.
Right.
The minute you do not show fear, they stop. And it's weird because, I don't think there's anybody in the free world that wants to be lying in their bed and then see this big shadow figure coming at you, right? Especially if you live in a state where there's concealed carry or open carry.
Right. Exactly.
What are you doing? I'm going to Home Depot to get some plaster because I shot up the walls again, But it's all fear based. Now, when you get into the black-eyed kids and people, I believe they're interdimensional. I also believe that they work off of fear, and they may do some other things with you, maybe soul based, stealing your soul, or like reapers. And I've noticed the correlation that wherever these cases usually are, they're not too far away from a collider.
Yeah.
The big, okay. And when they ramp that up, I think that's where they're coming. They're coming in through cracks of the space time rip and the timelines, and they're coming in and they're being, they're going after whoever they have to go after for food purposes. I don't like those kids. We had
Yeah.
a guest on. I do a podcast every Wednesday called the Three Beards podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wasn't on because a couple of weeks I had some surgery in the mouth, and this woman was on and she was talking about the Mandela effect. Her eyes were like Jaws black, all of it.
Wow.
And I
The
was
lady the lady on the show?
yeah, the guest on the show. I didn't book the guest, Craig, who is the head of that. It's his show. I'm just co-hosting with. They invited me on. Not a good vibe. And she had the audacity to say, and look, I know some people don't like animals, but she hates dogs. I hate dogs. They're evil. Dogs are evil. Dogs are evil? No. Anybody that knows anything about animals, between animals and children, if they don't like somebody, that person's bad news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and so for someone to come on and go, "Oh, I hate them. Oh, I don't like dogs. I hate them." Okay. And have jet black eyes.
Yeah,
I'm going to go for demons for 50, Alex. Yeah.
exactly.
That woman is just not there nice whatsoever. But yeah, you see somebody like that, they always want, like, come on, let me in or give us a ride. Say, no, I can't do it.
Yeah, and that was the thing that just still bothers me to this day. And I talked to my girl about it, and it was just weird for the lady to come to the front door, period, because we don't have visitors like that here ever.
Right.
And then for her to want to come in and use the shower was just, I mean, and we're like I told Kara, we're like 4 or 5, maybe 6 houses off the corner. So you would have had to go to each one of these houses if this is what you're doing, or did you come here directly? Like, what was the thing there? And we didn't see
Well,
her leave to the next neighbor's house after she left here. So it was like,
she
well,
dissipated.
yeah, that's what I was feeling. And I was telling, because I had my girl check the cameras right after she left. Because I was like, did she go to the neighbor's house? I'm like, what is she just walking around? Did she go to the neighbor's house? So we checked the camera to see if we saw her going that way. And
Right.
there was nothing on the camera at all. I'm like,
Well, there's in my old neck of the woods, yeah, up in the Bronx where I had very little. Um, they built a row of homes that are all connected. So there's about 7 of them. Really nice 3, 4 story places, And there was, I forgot the producer's name, but a big rap producer moved in, and something happened, and we still don't know if he killed himself or he was shot. But everybody that moved in thereafter always reported residual stuff. They heard music, they heard beats. Like, what the hell's going on? They don't, and they're totally not into the genre or any of that stuff. Like, sounds like someone's playing rap music. I'm like, well, you're in a producer's house, but
yeah,
yeah, always wanted to go into that place, but never got in. No, not a brownstone. It's actually like a long building um, that has several different, townhouses in it or whatever they want to call them. Um, yeah, we have a lot of places in my neck of the woods. Actually, the apartment building I live in, um, there's a G line of apartments. So it starts at the second floor, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and everybody in those apartments have had some kind of cancer or stomach related cancer or problems. And a lot of the people, like the people on the second floor, they were just bad news. They were always in trouble. There was something going on with them. The third floor, I grew up with, one of my friends. He lived in that apartment. Um, his father died of cancer really quick, and then his mother always had like kind of like a stomach thing going on. If you go to the fourth floor, the people that there was a couple named Jerry and Gerald. Yeah, really cute. She didn't smoke. She never smoked in her life. No one did. She dies of lung cancer.
wow.
And then you go to the fifth floor. There was people that used to live in there. Both parents were joggers. Yeah, they smoked. They both died of cancer. They sold it to a new couple. Not a history of anything in their family. They're, like they had a really great family tree. Their 2 kids move in. They got food poison. They got not food poisoning, diabetes. The sixth floor, the same thing. The seventh floor, we actually bought that apartment eventually. The seventh floor, they had a homeless person that would get stuck there. The FBI was in there to get, to arrest somebody. They used to make duplicate videos for, remember the old days with VHS? It was like
Hmm.
a VHS farm. So they had like racks and racks of VHS making duplicates. Um, when we moved in there, my brother had a Rottweiler, 150 pounds, and It was the summer, so it was warm. No air conditioners on. When you walk in, you're forced to turn to the right to go down a little bit. There's a kitchen, opens up a little bit. There's another bedroom with like a little bar area, and then the living room's to the left, and two more rooms and a bathroom. So I'm in there. I'm like, cool, this is a nice apartment, whatever. We're walking in with the dog. He goes over to the corner. So that would be if I walked in, turned to the right, and looked straight down the first corner down there. And this dog's big, and he's in the corner. And the next thing he sits down and he cowers. And I'm like, why that dog cowered? So I walked over to it. It was hot, except for that corner. There was a cool breeze in it. I lived in that apartment for a little bit. I had like what felt like food poisoning. It felt like someone was stabbing me with a knife in my stomach. So I started doing a little bit more investigation with it. And I used a novelist, and it's popping out words. And there's a list of words. There's two gentlemen, military, Navy, no, artillery, Navy, one woman, love triangle. I mean, all these different things. So I started writing it down, and I researched. Everything that was being spit out was legit. There were two soldiers, Civil War. One was in the Navy. One was artillery. They were fighting over this girl. Her name was mentioned, and the name is, I found it all online. And I forgot, I wasn't even thinking about talking about this. And one of them was run through with a sword right over by their stomach or their pancreas.
Wow.
Yeah. And the best is, so I knew there was something, that whole line was just haunted. The whole building's in a bad spot. They probably built on it. Bodies, the buried bodies during, whatever, immigrants that they used and abused.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother wasn't well. She had a heart attack. So we had a woman come in. My mother used to hire her as a caretaker, come in and take care of her. And she'd also help this woman to learn how to read. She wanted to learn how to read. She was an adult, full grown adult. And my mother used to teach special ed. So she was helping her to read. It was a win-win. So she came into the apartment to go get some stuff for my mother in the hospital, roughly about 9 o'clock at night. No one was in the apartment. Opens the door, and she's from the islands. Goes, takes a step in, looks to the right. There's a half a man, she said, wearing a waistcoat, looked like a military coat, and with like whitish features to him. And she goes, "You're not supposed to be here." And he ran right at her, went through her. She closed the door, locked it, and would go back by herself.
That is bananas.
Yeah, it is bananas. It's a crazy place. So I mean, that's
That's
part
scary.
of what I do. So I'm not really big on the ghost stuff. Either you believe it or you don't. I've seen them. I talk to them. Talked to deceased people before. It's really interesting, but I don't need to go turn on the flashlight. Turn on the flashlight.
Yeah, not me, man. Like I told Kara earlier, you won't find me going towards any of that. And then, but I don't really. So I have a shadow person, obviously, but I don't find myself worried about walking through the darkness. Like it's there or it's gonna do something. But I know that it's there, and I kind of just, I guess, live with it. But like tonight, for instance, like I'm here all by myself tonight, man. So my girl's out in Vegas, so I am actually gonna be chilling with the shadow person by myself tonight. Just me, the shadow person, and my pups.
I mean, as long as you don't feel anything negative or ill will in the home, you should be fine. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to, you can go get yourself some salt lamps on Amazon. They sell a double pack, pretty good, for about $24. They're pretty big and they're great. And you need a salt lamp that is incandescent lighting. You can't use LEDs because what you want to do is heat the salt up from within and then it sends out the positive, but it also traps the negative. So it's a win-win. Put them around the house. Um, you can sage your home, and there's certain prayers you'd go through, calling on Lord God or whoever your belief system is, and sage every room. Open a door, open a window, keep it open, because all you're going to do is move them from one room to the next to the next. If you don't have a door open, they can't get out. And I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but if you kept chasing me around my house, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm fine with it being in the living room where it was, and if that's where you're going to be, fine, because I'm rarely even in there. But once you start coming in here to the studio, then we have a problem, Houston. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the salt lamps. I'm going to look at that, and any other ideas you have.
I
Uh,
mean, I got, I usually sage people. I have to actually sage my house again. Because there was, like I said, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of attacks going towards people that are light workers. And I am one of those. I do remote viewing, you do readings, but I call it remote viewing. Um, and there's been a lot of people getting attacked. A couple of weeks ago, I almost got killed coming home, twice. On the way home, I almost got run into the divider rail on 95
ooh,
by a 18 wheeler that was probably watching Pornhub instead of the road. And
in
then,
your lane, yeah.
yeah, well, I was in the left lane. It was at night, and it was real close call. And then I went out to get some cigarettes the next night, and I left just before there was a shootout.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got to sage, and you got to take a salt. You can do a salt bath. You can actually use salt. I prefer kosher salt to other salts because of the religious aspect of it. They have to purify it, and you can salt the window ledges of the house and put salt bags in every room. And if you know the centermost point of the room, you put a vessel of salt there, you pin it up even to the ceiling. No one's gonna, they're gonna be like, what the hell is that? It's mistletoe for ghosts. Move on. They shouldn't be paying attention, but that will help pull some of the negativity out. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do, and I'm thinking about. I'm like, man, I might just that be just. I should document that whole process actually, and I think I might. I'll talk to you more about those specific things that I need,
Right.
and then maybe record myself going through those steps and put that out. Maybe that'll be something that can help someone as well.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an actual being or person, it should repel them. Um, if it's a residual and it keeps coming and it's like keep playing it on repeat. You know, that's what it
Yeah,
is. You're not going to
yeah,
get rid of that. It's interesting when the difference between the two can be dramatic. It depends on how old your kids are, and my daughter sees stuff because there's a difference. So if you're artistic or musical or scientific and you're a male, you're using and or math, you use both hemispheres.
yeah.
Want
That's
to take
me.
Yeah, you use both, right? And women use both hemispheres all the time. So most of these kids when they're younger, all of them can see stuff. Not everything is, it's not just like they see you, me, and reading this. They're seeing like, there's a dead guy behind you, that type of stuff. And as you get older, you try to, go away from it. And that's how we lose it. So it's really you come in with a full sponge, and then by going to school, you squeeze all that good knowledge out, and then they put their junk in.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So if your kid's seeing stuff, mine does, and she spends plenty of time in our room all the time.
Because of
And
that, because of the fact she's seeing things. Yeah,
she's had UFOs out her windows. She's seen the craft. Um, she sees some other things that are just not happy about it. So somebody wrote something about reptilians, but yep. Oh, I know who that is. Um, and but she sees it and she'll come down and she'll sleep on the floor, or I always when I had kids, my house is their house. You want to sleep in bed, go sleep in bed. I don't care. There's difference between two kids. My older one, you get a black eye. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the younger one is, she'll just snuggle up and it's easier. Kind of like when I had my dog that used to come in. It's like, okay, cool, lie there, be good, we're done. But they're scared. They're seeing stuff, and my other half doesn't believe it, even though she's seen things. We had a moment where we had to move our table from where it was in our house because I'm on the top floor, so the roof leak. So they had to get to repair it. So I had to push it all the way to the other side. And my wife's like over here, my youngest here, and they're doing work. And it's literally in front of the TV set. There's nothing there but a TV that's off and a wall, like two walls. And they both saw somebody standing in the corner. She's like, she looked up and then she turned away. My wife saw it. And she goes, "Did you see something?" And she said, "Yeah, I did." I said, "Was it a man?" She goes, "Yeah." Goes, "You saw it?" I'm like, "Yep." So she told me about it. So I'm trying to, get this thing out. I'm trying to focus in on it. What the hell is it? Get out of my house. So I actually had to contact the psychic we use. She's in Arkansas. Her name's Cindy Bailey Dove. She's really great. She's also was with MUFON. And I said, "Listen, I can't read this because it's too close to me. What's going on?" She goes, "You got to tell it to leave." And I said, "Is it bad?" She goes, No. It's not bad, but it's a man, and he's missing half of his face because it was blown away."
Whoa.
So how it works is this, right? So think of being in a pitch black room. In an instant, you're in a pitch black room. You're like, what the hell's going on? That's called death. And if you get stuck there and you don't transition into the light and move yourself on, and where you'll get educated, you'll find out, like, you'll have that life review. This is where you messed up. You're really messed up there. You could have won the lottery. And then you get to choose whether you want to continue where you are or to be reborn or reincarnated and come back. So when these people die and they have accidents like this really, really quick, no one's taking them from, like, you don't get visited by your grandmother. "Come on, sweetie, we got to go. Grandma, you're dead." "Yeah, so are you. Let's go." They transition you in. Okay. So you get stuck in this ether, and it's usually pitch black. And what happens is you start seeing these little pin lights all over, and you're like, what the hell is that? Then some of them get brighter the closer they are to you. So you're going to go to it. Those pin lights are all the little kids and psychics that can see you.
Whoa.
It's like a lighthouse. So what they do is they just go to it, and as they get closer to it, they kind of get pulled into it, and they see somebody, and they can see that they're being recognized. Like, "You can see me," and they try to talk to them, but they're scaring the crap out of them.
Wow.
So that's why he came in, saw that my daughter was, has the abilities, and he's trying to talk to her, trying to get her attention, probably to find out where the hell am I. And he scared the crap out of her. So I had to say, "You got to go. He said, "You're gone. You're dead. You need to move on. Go to the light." And it ended pretty quick. But yeah, it's weird.
So you said so your wife saw the entity but then still, for whatever reason, doesn't buy into this.
Nope. She had it when we were dating. We were going from Waterbury, Connecticut to Winsted, Connecticut. My old summer camp was up there, July 4th weekend. I wanted to go hang out with friends. My birthday. Let's go. And as we're going, she's like looking out there, like, I'm like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "That thing out there, it looks like a balloon." "What are you talking about?" "It's floating there." I'm like, "I didn't see it. I'm just driving, you know?" And I said, "No, it's just one of those radio towers." So it's a one tower, like red, 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 red. It blinks.
Yeah.
You don't fly a plane into it. Well, the radio tower started like this, and then the radio tower went like this, and then like this. What is this? And it started moving towards us. And I had a 92 Integra back then. Love that car.
Yeah.
Um, love that car. Two-seater. I'm doing about 70 because that thing just went to 70 automatically.
Yep.
Stars everywhere. This thing flew over my car. It was about the size of Giant Stadium. Okay. Or whatever team you want to pick based on wherever you are. It was huge. And she's like, what is this thing? And I knew what it was. And I'm like, my head, stop the car, Brian, stop the car. But I never did. And at one point, I'm watching it. She's hanging out the window. Another car kind of came the opposite direction, very briefly, a little bit hot. It's when a road levels so that they're meeting. Normally, one road's higher than the other, so you don't get the blinding. And it caught my attention for a split second. I kind of looked away, looked at the road, then looked back up. It was gone. Jammed on my brakes in the middle of Route 8. Got out of the car, gone. 100% gone. And to this day, she will say, yeah, it was a weather balloon.
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't,
And then,
some people don't want to admit to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think deep down she is like really knows what that was, but she just insists on verbalizing that it's a weather balloon? Or do you think she really believes that?
No, it wasn't. No, she doesn't believe it was a weather balloon. She knows exactly what it is, but maybe it makes her sleep better at night.
Yeah.
Knowing about it. Like my youngest, who was really, really scared about stuff, when I took her out and we saw the fleet of 7 UFOs, and then the next video when she's coming back, oh my God, they're back. It changes your perspective. It's called education, right? Thanks for the super sticker, Lou. It changes your education. Your education enlightens you to what to expect. Because when your imagination starts running wild, you're thinking like these, 12-foot aliens with tentacles or whatever it is, and they're going to kill you and suck your brains out. It doesn't work that way. There are reptilians. Someone mentioned them. Those are over 12 feet tall, massive. And they're people, reptilians do abduct people. But when you understand, like, oh, it's just a light in the sky, it's not going to affect you. Well, don't tell her, but it will affect you. Some people do get abducted from it. And now she's like, oh, another UFO. It's easier to deal with.
Yeah.
The horror of it,
I had this I almost want to call it a sighting, but I don't count it as one because the one that I did record, that's proof positive, so I'm rolling with that. But I had another incident out here in California, Highway 101. When you get to the southern part of the state, it begins to take you through mountainous areas and areas where it's very little population. And this happened. Now, I wrote this off as something prosaic, and I'll tell you what I thought it was. But I'm getting off the freeway, and I think I'm in Salinas, and the freeway takes you far off to the right into a pitch black, nothing's over this way. As I'm getting off the freeway, the city is over here on the other side of the freeway. Right. There's a freeway wall. As I'm getting off the freeway, I'm in a Mazda SUV with the sunroof on the top. There was what seemed like, which I write off today is just a drone. It was something that resembled a quadcopter that kind of came down almost right above my sunroof, and I'm getting off the freeway, so I couldn't stop right there. So I'm getting to a point where I can stop, and it's gone. Now, I just wrote it off as maybe a police drone because it had a red light on it, and it had a bluish or purplish light on it. But what kind of makes me think further about it is because it wasn't the type of light like if you had a light that would shine the color, like it was more like a inner light So when some people try to describe orbs or lights in the sky, and they say it lit up this color, but it wasn't like a light that cast itself. It was like a inner light. What it reminded me of is, if you remember Superman and the kryptonite, right? And how it had the inner glow inside of the actual
Yeah.
crystal or whatever that is. Yeah.
Self-illuminating, pulsing. Yeah.
And I looked all when I got home. I was about 100 miles from home. When I got home, I got on the internet and I'm just looking up police drones because I'm like, let me see what these are looking like. And the lights were like spiky, so they were like balls, but they were jagged. They had jagged edges on them, and there was one on each side of the so what I thought was a quadcopter.
Right.
And I just can't still. I'm not going to call it a UFO. I'm still going to lean on quadcopter because that's what it resembled. But it made no sense for it to be where it was, for one. And then for two, just the self illuminating internal light that it had was an unnatural light. And I hear that a lot with UFO sightings, that internal glow, and that's what it had. So I don't know.
I mean, there's tons of drones. You can get a sheet filled with different drone types, and they do it with like in full color, but then they do the blackout ones where the silhouette of them, so you can see what they look like. But you would see at night. Please do use them. Could have been somebody from the highway, away from you, but still high enough to see what's going on in the highway.
Yeah.
Go with your gut, whatever you think it is. If you feel it was a UFO, it's a UFO. I don't play the UAP game with people. If it's a UAP, it's American. It's US based. It's made. If it's UFO, it's not of this earth.
Yeah.
Interdimensional. It could be extraterrestrial. It can be, galaxies away. So there's the big difference. The UAP thing is just a government narrative to steer everybody this way while they're stealing your money over here.
Yeah.
Joke. But yeah, no, I've been catching a lot of UFO stuff lately. I showed some videos on this show. Really happy about it because that's like hitting the lottery. You don't get a UFO and then 2 weeks later get another one like a flyby in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff.
Between you and Travis, man, you guys seem to be hitting gold. I mean, because he has a couple good videos where it's just like, yeah, that's not anything of ours.
I don't have good video because I have this crap right here. That's a crappy phone. If I had like my psionic, a monocular that's night vision, that would have been better. But when these events happen, you don't always have like you're not always thinking camera. You're so in awe of what the hell is going on, right? That you're blown away by it. Look at that super sticker again.
Yeah, Forrest Louis coming through. So what I have this right here, which if I'll bring this up, this is the original phone that I captured
That's
the UFO sighting with. Yeah, this is Samsung, but it's a lower end. It's like an A52 or something like that. Camera is good, but it's not great. But my UFO sighting, the original file is still on this phone, and that's why I keep it. So
here's the difference. I'm using an iPhone. You're using a Samsung. When you take a picture with a Samsung at night of the full moon, you're going to get that picture. Exactly what your eye was seeing, you'll get it on the photo.
Yeah.
For this crap, you get a lot of blur and noise.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it because I have LiDAR on here. When I go bigfooting, go on investigation, which I'm going on the next couple of weeks. So I will not be on that Saturday. I will be, neck deep
in the trenches. Yeah.
In the forest in the state of Florida. But I will be more than happy to come back and discuss.
Yeah.
And it's Class A sighting, so I'm looking forward to it.
That should be awesome. And what I have now is I have this. I don't even use this. I have an iPhone that I use, but I'm holding this one for photos. It's a Pixel 6 Pro. These cameras are actually pretty awesome. I don't know if you've ever filmed anything with these.
No. They're great because they film
Yes.
in zero light and they film perfectly.
Yes, so I'm hoping I can get something. I carry this with me. It's not connected to anything. And I just have it because I would have liked to catch my last sighting with this camera. And oh my gosh, so I already know. But this is anyone out there, if you're on the fence about a Pixel, I don't know about the newer 7s and 8s, but the 6 Pro, the video that this thing records, I recorded a basketball game. I was at the LA Aces game, and you could watch that back like you were watching television. That's how clear, and the zoom is excellent. So if you guys get a chance to get one of these, get it for the camera at the least, for sure.
I'll tell you, if you're investigating any of these subjects, be it paranormal, which I call ghost hunting, cryptids, you know, UFOs, extraterrestrials, get a Samsung or a Pixel because you can buy them used. You know, you're not using it for phone purposes.
Right.
You'll hook it up to the Wi-Fi. You'll have a camera. You'll have great video, and you have a backup of a backup. Worst comes to
Yep.
worst. Also, if you leave them in your car and you press 911, they're gonna work.
Yep.
You know about
You're
that.
totally right about that. So, with that being said, Brian, man, I appreciate you coming in. I know you're going to be out there in the trenches next week. So when we talk to you when you do come back, I know it's going to be awesome, and I appreciate you coming on in tonight.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm trying, but outside forces are like you just can go so far. And when you're in an emergency area, it's like I can't go. I've
Yeah,
I've done broadcasts off myself. I pulled off the highway to actually video, be on a show as a guest, but that was not a location I was going to. It was more like a cops episode.
yeah. Kick back because what we'll do, because the audience they love to get into like trivia and things like that. So we'll be doing some of that next week.
Yeah.
Preparing for you for the following week. So we'll make it work out, man. But I do appreciate because I know you're on the East Coast and I know it's late for you, so I appreciate you.
It's brutal. Right now, it's brutal. It's been a long day. But my team won, so it didn't matter.
Look, that always makes everything better.
I'm
I can't really talk about that. I'm into basketball now. Obviously, football season is over. My Cowboys didn't do anything, but I love to see the 49ers lose. It was such a special moment. I went to Northern California to my mother's house. All Niner fans there. They all had their jerseys on, and it was just so beautiful to sit there and watch them just sulk. And just when Mahomes went on that last drive and broke their hearts, I was there to catch their tears in a cup, and I toasted their tears. And
I love New Hampshire. Forest is in New Hampshire. I go up there. I go to Maine. I used to have family in Portland, but I love New Hampshire, and I got to go visit Dennis Stone up there, who owns American Stonehenge. He's a great guy. So if you're up in I think it's Salem, New Hampshire, go visit American Stonehenge. You'll love it.
definitely go East Coast. Okay, it's the West Coast. So East Coast to West Coast, it's all good, man. We all love each other, man. So
I'm from the borough that created rap.
there we go. I gotta get to the east. I've never been further east than Dallas. So that's my goal is to get further to the east and eventually New York. That's where I really want to go to New York. And when I do it, I'm gonna have to look you up, man.
Yeah, well, I'm in Florida most of the time, but I'll be up there in the summers. It's changed.
It's different.
It is changed. The Bronx, the boogie down.
Well, I'm saying it's the Mecca, right? So I have to touch foot in the Mecca and just kind of
It's
just
good, but
absorb the feeling.
the whole city's being bombarded with crap. So, but yeah, enjoy it. Go, bring a gun. Um, it's not safe anymore, and have fun. Actually, they used to film a lot of movies in my neighborhood, like Cat's Eye and TV shows and stuff like that. So
All right.
it was a nice day, bro.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, man. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, Brian. Thank you so much. We will look forward to you in a couple weeks. Have a good rest of your night, man. Like I said, it's late for you, so go ahead and get some sleep, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
You got it, bro.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Yes, sir. All right, guys and gals. So, yeah, awesome show tonight. Shadow people will not stop the show. Just so you know, it will never happen. They may try to shut down the feed and stop us from doing what we're doing, but we're not gonna let that happen. Even though I have to sleep here with this shadow person alone tonight, I'm gonna get through the night. It's gonna be great, and I'm gonna light some. I'm gonna get some salt lamps, and like Brian stated, and we're gonna get through this thing here. So obviously, if anything happens, I will keep you guys posted. If for some reason I disappear, you guys might want to look into potential abduction or something along those lines. Believe me, I would never not show up for the show. So if something happens and I don't show up for tomorrow's show, you guys put that APB out for me, man, because that means I'm probably on an ET ship somewhere getting who knows what. So with that being said, let's go ahead and prepare to bring this show to a close. It was an awesome show overall. I do appreciate our guest, Kara Phillip, for coming on in. Very awesome lady. I love her energy. She seems like a great person. You guys make sure to follow what it is she's doing. Like I said, all those links are in the description of this video. Yeah, and then Brian obviously coming on in, knocking it out the park like always. All the way from the East Coast. Is very late for him, so we do appreciate whenever he is able to come on in, and just appreciate having you guys here, right? Because we get it done every single weekend here at the After Hours, and it's not just me, it's you. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate you guys coming on out. I really want you to know that. Let's take some time real quick to thank our super chatter for the night, which was Forrest Louis ×2. Thank you very much, Forrest Louis, for your support of Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate you here. And to all the space travelers, you're already space travelers, you know this. Take the extra step and join the club, right? That's right. You can join our SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 buckaroonies by joining our Patreon. We do appreciate your support. We appreciate the viewers and the listeners across the globe. Thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best and we continue to do. And what is that, you ask? We own the night, guys. Thanks for coming on in. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's do it again. Let's end the weekend off with a bang and get ready for Dave Scott for the week. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Take care.